Oh my goodness. I am sorry. I want to say at first, hi. This is the Ocean Swagger of the Ocean's Deep Woo. And here we do the deepest of woo, all kinds of woo. That's all we do. And if that sounds a little like Dr. Seuss, that's okay. That was one of my favorite books as a kid, authors as a kid. But yes, I did screw up. Somehow, I don't know how it happened, but uh, Robin, but the notice went out for the wrong freaking date for Robin's show. But fortunately, she's here tonight, or at least I think she's going to be here tonight. Let's hope, with fingers crossed, that things are going to go from here. I've been busy with my apartment pretty much falling apart. So it's been one thing after another. It's been the fridge, and then it was the garbage disposal, it was the closet, it was just a lot of things. You know how things just tend to cluster on you? Well, somehow I didn't notice that there was a problem with the date. I didn't notice the date was wrong. So that's what happened. And sorry about that. It was a really silly mistake. So hopefully we can correct that today. Or not. God. Well, Lord only knows. Okay, hang on. We've got some technical problems. StreamYard has obviously gone a little nuts. Or I have. I'm not sure which. No, that isn't it. Okay. I have got it where I don't know. Live streaming is fun.
Yay, there you go.
Oh, thank you. Hello, Claudia Miller. Glad you saw it and made it. You with Gemini
Oh,
Moon and well, that's great because honestly, I tried to promote the show and the wrong freaking date went out on the notice.
yeah, it was funny because I hadn't heard from you, but I was busy all day. So I thought, well, maybe we just, cross path. So I went and I checked it and it said it was the 28th. And I said, I don't remember it being the 28th because we had said
I
Wednesday.
remember. No, me neither. I was surprised that I saw that too, and I'm like, I swear I put that for Wednesday, but
Yeah.
somehow and yeah. So StreamYard was also acting really funny. Well, it acts funny off and on, but it could have been me. I could have done I've had so much going on this week. Like I said, I've had the
I'm
closet,
loving the hat.
the refrigerator breakdown, the disposal breakdown. But we got it fixed all except the closet now. So
Well,
once
that's
I get
good.
I should have my apartment back together again. So
It's
I
been
hope
a
somebody
really
shows
busy week.
up. Huh?
Yeah. The whole week has been chaotic. I mean, it's just been, the last few weeks have been chaotic anyway.
Yeah, it has been a very chaotic time. I've noticed that too. I've just had one thing after another go on. It's really hard to keep track of it. Um, Gemini, if you're there, Gemini's one of my mods. Gemini, any chances you could put a notice on MeWe and let people know that I'm here? Because I'm not even sure anybody got the notice. I guess you guys did, though. Well, that's
Yeah,
another thing.
let me
YouTube
look.
plays kind of funny with my notices sometimes, too. So I'm fighting StreamYard and YouTube sometimes.
Oh God, let's
I don't know.
see.
It's like I tried, and I really tried, honestly, Robin. I wanted you to have a nice big audience this time
Oh,
because we
that's all
have a big
right.
audience. But so I tried to hype it and I tried to tell people about it and everything. So I really did try to make sure that there was.
Oh, you're fine. It doesn't matter. It'll be fine.
But I guess I just had a little bit too much going on to notice the slip up. I wish I would have had a chance to actually look at it and
Yeah.
see, that and go, oh, wait a minute, that's really wrong.
Well, what's really bizarre is it has that section at the bottom that it says notify me. And I clicked the notify me and it never notified me on the 28th.
It never notified you then either. See,
Uh-uh. But
I
World Bigfoot Radio is supposed to notify me every week because I always hit the notify me and it never does either.
I think some of us kind of I think some of us might
What?
be getting jacked with. I don't know.
Oh, I know I am. So there's not even a question anymore about it.
I'm pretty sure, considering what we cover, that we're being jacked with a lot. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. And you and
and
I have talked about all the stuff they do to me. So it's like, I
yeah,
know.
I don't think I'm being paranoid when I say I think we're being jacked with a little bit here.
No. I used to tell myself I was being paranoid for years. And then as it amped up and it heated up and more things went on and more things went on. And, you know, you just get to the point
Yeah,
where, brake lines
get to
get
the
cut,
point where
lug nuts get taken out of cars, bank accounts get closed. And, and you just finally say, it is what it is.
yeah, you finally say, as paranoid as it sounds, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean it isn't happening.
Yeah.
So, and we did a show
My
on,
lawyer said it was happening. Does that tell you how bad it is?
well, yeah, you told me about your situation. And like I said, I can commiserate because I've had a lot happen to me too. And it stopped for a while. And maybe now that I'm going down this new rabbit hole, it's going to start up again. It won't
Oh, it
that
will.
be?
It's not. Maybe it will. It will.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, dear, but at least Claudia and Gemini are watching.
Hi.
So, I'm really sorry about that,
That's
folks.
okay.
Uh,
Do you want to continue tonight or do you want to do it tomorrow night or what are your thoughts?
it's okay. You know what? It's okay because um, we can talk a little bit tonight, and if people don't find it, how about if we reset another one for another day? If people are not finding it by, let's give it like a half an hour or so. If you can do that, if that's
Yeah,
okay
I'm
with
fine.
you, because would Thursday or Friday be better? Because I'm busy
This
until 8 o'clock.
um Friday would be better than Thursday. I have grandkids coming tomorrow. So,
Okay, you know what? If we don't get a whole lot of people here, I will double check the date and I will tell everybody, and we will maybe you can tell a few people,
oh, excuse
and
me. Lord, I gotta
because
go in the room.
you're in Duke's group, so
Yeah,
um,
I can put it over
maybe
there.
you can put it over there. Help me out a little here, honey. I've had a hell of a week too.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sister. I know we
I'm
have a
telling
lot
you.
of the same stuff. I know. I've been
Um,
through that too, and I've been through the gang stalking, and I've been through all that. And you're
uh,
right. It probably will start to happen. I mean, it will. It is happening. Let's face it. It's going to happen. I
yeah.
just got to get used to it, like all of us do, right? All of us have to just
You
get
roll
used
with
to.
the punches. What else can you do?
Yeah, and it was weird too because just everything's been breaking down. It's the weirdest thing. So
Well,
it's
the thing
keeping
of
me
it is,
busy.
and I apologize for the yawning. I have been mobile since like 8 o'clock this morning. This is the first time I've sat down all day long, and I'm not sleepy, like tired sleepy, but I'm relaxed and I keep yawning. So I apologize. But
That's okay. I've been like that too. So anyway,
I
we're
want
so
your hat. I love
professional.
the hat.
We're so professional here. Oh, thank you. It's one of my own creations here.
I love
I
it.
thank you. It's got the feathers. It's got my little
Yeah.
memory of my kitty cat over here who crossed the
Oh, that's
rainbow,
so cute.
went through the rainbow portal. Watched her go. I've told that
Oh,
our pets do go somewhere. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
maybe not everybody's pet. I don't know, but ours, they
No, they
definitely
do. Yeah, they do.
do
I know people that I've actually talked because I talk to spirits and stuff, and I've talked to their pets after they've gone,
all
and
the
they've given
time.
me, yeah, they've given me information that there's no way I would know, you know.
Exactly.
But the crazy thing is, I have this cat, and I got this cat because I was out very late at night. We had some paranormal activity in my front yard, and we were trying to figure out where it was coming from. Like all this music was coming out of my bushes, like for no reason, just random music.
Music.
And yeah, and the neighbor heard it as well. And so her family was outside and they're all looking all around. And we can't figure out where this music's coming from. So I got in the car and Janice Carter was with me and we drove all over town trying to figure out where this music was coming from. And it was like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. We got back and we still hadn't figured it out. The only place there was music was in my bushes where there was no power and nothing to make music with. And so we were going by my house back home, and one of the Bigfoots told me to go, don't go home, go down by the creek. There's a swamp down there. And I said, why? And he said, you'll know, just go. So I go down there and there's this little tiny kitten down there. sitting by the road. And I mean, just out in the middle of nowhere. So I stopped and I got out of the car and it ran to me like it knew me and it just climbed right up my body. And I'm like, okay, apparently you're coming
Waiting
home.
for you.
Yeah. So I bring him home. So this is my Bigfoot cat. They are
And,
obsessed with this cat. And they have taken him a couple times and they put him in through portals. And the one time I literally watched him walk into the portal and I was just having a fit because I love him to death. My husband went everywhere, all over in the woods. And I mean, our woods are all venomous snakes. And God love this man. He's out walking all around trying to find my cat for me. 5 days this cat was gone. And then he walked out of the portal just like he went in.
cats do that kind of thing to you. They're nowhere. Maui's done that. Mau did that to me a few times. She was nowhere in a small
Oh.
apartment, nowhere, and was not let out the door. Where was she? The other thing they do, and this kind of worries me, when they're fixing to die, it seems, they will practice getting out of their bodies and they'll be in places of the house where the bodies aren't.
Yeah, it's creepy.
You'll see them and it's
Well,
like,
we had,
wait a minute. And then they'll come out of wherever their body was, and it's like, wait a minute. I've had
yeah,
that happen too. It's like, and then Kangi, when he was fixing to die, um, Maui would meow and just like because she knew his body was over there, she was seeing him over here,
yeah.
and it's like she didn't like it, and he laughed about it posthumously. He laughed. He thought that was funny.
What? I had a German Shepherd I watched run into a portal. Dog was gone 2 hours and 15 minutes before it came right back out of it. Like he literally, she went into it and I watched her disappear in front of my eyes.
I don't know. Cats are better at this than we are.
Yeah.
They are. They've got some. And Cowboy, did you hear Cowboy was trying to help you tell the story? He was putting in his two
Well, Les
cents
said,
here.
I'm looking up here on the screen. It says he had two of his cats went into a portal and didn't come home. I believe that completely. The only reason I think we got ours back was because I was just absolutely hysterical. And Pat, my husband, knew which foots to get hold of and said, you better bring this cat back. Like she is really, really upset. Like she's not just mad, she's upset, she's hurt, she's not going to let up on this cat. And they finally went ahead and the cat came back.
The very next day.
Oh, mine was gone 5 days.
Yeah,
Five
except it was
very,
5
very
days.
long days.
Oh my God. Yeah. You know what? I'll tell you. They somehow, it doesn't bother them. They know they're going to die. I'm pretty sure of it, that they know when they're going to die. Hi,
Yeah.
Marilyn. And it doesn't seem to bother them a bit.
No, they know they're going to a better
For some
place.
reason, it doesn't bother them a bit. Just, they're going to, it's almost like sometimes mine came to me. I have a picture of her. At the moment that she asked me, she said, I'm really tired. And this is mind speak type stuff. Hi, Marilena. Hi, Denali Princess.
Hi,
This is mind
guys.
speak type stuff. And she was pacing around, and she was like she had something on her mind. And I said, Mal, what do you got on your mind? I have a picture of this. And she comes up on my computer desk and she looks me deep in the eyes and she said, I'm so tired. I'm so sick. I hurt all over. I
Yeah.
really want to go home. I know it's really going to hurt you though. So haven't wanted to go home. Is it okay if I go home? And I said, darling, I love you. I don't want you to be in pain. I, if that's the way you feel, I will get over it. Yes, it will hurt. I will get over it. But if you have to go, you go because I don't want you to
Her,
hurt.
yeah.
And she got this very hopeful look in her eye, and I snapped the picture at that moment. And it shows
Aw.
the mirror next to her. She was just a little bit of my face in the mirror next to her. And it shows her looking up at the camera, looking up at me. And it was a very sad moment, but also a moment that had to come.
Yeah.
And so she
That's
rewarded me
hard.
by letting me watch her die and pass on. And she got up onto the foot of my bed and she positioned herself in a sphinx position. And she was blind by that time. She was
Mhm.
blind. And she had other stuff wrong with her. Um, and all of a sudden, the room started filling with white light and rainbows. And then I
Wow.
saw a rainbow portal open up. I swear. It had jagged edges. It's weird. It looked like a drawing. It looked like somebody was drawing with sparkly magic markers or something, or sparkly, and it
That's
was
awesome.
moving. And it was weird. It was like, and it was rainbow and white. And she turned into, I saw her spirit come up out of her body. It was rainbow and white. And it was a rainbow, it was white with a rainbow uh color around it, rainbow colors around it, and sparkly. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then she rose up out of her body. She walked through this portal, and I could see beyond the portal was this beautiful green place with trees and a field. And I saw her hop right into that beautiful place through that portal, and then the portal closed. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so glad that you're home safe then. I can see that you're home safe. And I'm thinking, but then, I, I was, I had a lot of emotion. I
Yeah.
was tearful, but also thank you for letting me see that. But then, you know what? This next thing that happened was even stranger. I had never seen this before. With my third eye, it looked like somebody pulled something back like that and was looking out a window, and it was a white cat, all white cat, sparkly white, very stately looking cat. And she says, yes, Mom, I'm safe now. I'm home. And I'm like, Mao, is that you? She said, yeah, Mom, it's me. See, I told you I'm all right. I knew I had to let you know that I was all right because you still worry. You're always such a worrywart about all of us. You're always worried that you didn't do enough for us, but you always do enough for us. We're gonna die at some point. That's just the way it is, Mom. I said, Mom, and she says, well, you like me to call you Mom, and besides, it's a title of honor. And I said, oh, well, you're so sweet. And then right beside her, this was the other mind blowing thing. Right beside her, this other cat person shows up beside her looking like a cheetah, I swear, spots like a cheetah, and comes up. And I swear he kind of reminded me the way he talked a little bit like you would expect Chester Cheetah to talk or something. But he said, oh, is this, oh, hello, like that. And I said, oh, you've got a friend with you. And he says, yes, well, yeah, we're fine. Just don't worry. Everything's fine once we get here. No. And I'm like, oh, well, holy cow, I got a 2 for 1. I'm seeing two cat people looking at me out this window that didn't used to exist about a couple of seconds ago. What the heck am I looking at here? I'm like, my mind is blown, totally blown. And I'm saying, well, I'm so glad that everything's okay. I kind of half wonder if the cheetah guy was actually Kangy, or one of my other cats. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
know. He didn't show up again, but she showed up a few times after that. She was always looking at me through this window, and she talked to me from time to time. And we talk a little bit, and she told me a lot of stuff. And I'm like, holy, they'll tell you mind-boggling things, won't they?
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about it. You know what? People always ask me if their animals go somewhere. Do animals go to heaven? Well, they go somewhere, all right.
Hmm.
Whether you would
Okay.
call it heaven, um, maybe. It's certainly a very nice place uh, that they go. It seems to be. Let's see. I think that's why in Egyptian mythology, cats are guardians of the underworld and can send stuff back. I believe that. Yeah.
I think that, and I'm sure I'm probably wrong, but I think they can go to heaven. I do. I've talked to many spirits that have said that
Whatever heaven it
their favorite
is,
pet is
really.
there. I mean,
I have,
they say they're there.
I have a feeling that heaven is not what we think or like we think, that we tend to think of it, because it seems like everybody there is pretty busy.
Well, I
Everybody
mean,
that I talk to is really busy in the afterlife, but they will come and talk to you if they have a mind to. But yeah, people are busy. And when I talk to somebody in the afterlife, because I am a medium, um, almost always they want their loved ones to know they're happy, they're fine, everything's fine, they're not hurting at all, they're just
yep,
fine.
it seems to be a common thing that but I think they worry about people and they know that number one, the ones that are left here on Earth are the ones that suffer more than the ones that have passed. They're
That's
pain free,
absolutely
they're
true.
worry free, and I think, they want to, out of love for their loved ones, they just want to reassure them.
Yeah, because we're the ones that do suffer. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
suffering. They're
No,
never
and
suffering.
the thing with the animals too is they'll stick around. Like I have a very dear friend of mine, and she had a white Pekingese that passed. I see that white Pekingese all over her house, and she's now got another white Pekingese, but I see the one that passed all the time.
Mine always come back to visit me. And I told you, did I? Told you, I think I told you guys about when Kangi died, right? When Kangi was my boy cat, and he was my little baby. And he was Maui's little lover boy, okay? Um, and he was a blue kitty. He was a blue kitty. And he was the biggest baby. He was just the biggest love baby. Um, and when he got sick he was one of the ones, like I said, he was the one that kind of was playing with Maui out of his body, practicing getting out of his body. He had a urethral blockage, it turned out.
Mm.
And there wasn't, it was just, I didn't understand what was going on until too late. And I
It's real
had,
common in the male cat.
yeah,
It's caused from
unfortunately,
the ash on the cat food.
I wish I'd known more about that. I wish I'd known more. Now, this cat, he's getting the best food that I can afford for him. He's getting entirely
Yeah,
different food.
yeah.
So,
The
be
males have a
around.
hard time with the ash and regular cat food.
I think they do that on purpose. I think
And
that
it keeps
it's
the vets
purposeful.
busy. And the surgery to help them is extremely expensive.
It is. I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
It just half killed me to think that, and the veterinarian was really nice about it. He only charged me for the call. I had to go, and he said, "Look, I'm going to drain him. I'm going
Hmm.
to drain him. And if he doesn't recover and this doesn't unblock by tomorrow, you're going to have to bring him back in and decide whether we're going to operate or whether you're going to put him to sleep. And I
Mm,
said, my God, and it was hard because I didn't have a car. I didn't drive. I had to get somebody to drive me. The only
yeah.
person I could get to drive me was a real big one. Big, she was not, she didn't like cats. So it was bad. The trip there was really hard. Um, I don't even want to talk about it too much because it really upset me. But anyway, so we took him to how she treated him upset me so much. Uh,
Yeah.
she didn't want me to sit with him. She didn't want me to be next to him on the ride for
Oh,
some
good
reason.
grief.
She had me. Well, no, we need to put him in the back. Okay, so I got on the back with him. No, I need you up front with me. No, well, okay, then the cat's going to come on my lap. No, no, you've got to leave him back up there and you sit up here like I'm like, what the, but it was the only ride I had. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I'm paying her. And
Oh,
I'm like,
geez.
oh my God, I'm not,
Yeah.
going to use the word. And I'm like, God, please, this is killing me. Do you have to be that way? And
Yeah.
we took him to the doctor, and I gave him over to the doctor and the carrier. And I said, please, Kangi, try not to die. And I said, I I'm gonna find the money somehow. And but as soon as I got home, he was lying on the couch. And he was just lying on a couch in the shape of his earthly body. But then he gets up off the couch and becomes this cat man. And he can look me in the eye practically. And I'm like, he's this full size, like a person size cat. And I'm like, well, I said, Kangy. I said, oh no, that means you died, right? He said, yes, I died. Yeah, that was going to happen. Sorry. I couldn't stay. I said, well, it's okay. I understand you were in pain. And he said, yeah, but you know what? I wanted to come back and talk to you because once again, I was worried. I was worried about how you were going to take it because I know you're thinking that you should have done something and you could have done something. And I was going to die anyway. And so I just died and it saved me a lot of money. I mean,
Uh,
because the guy just charged me for an office visit instead of an operation. But
yeah.
I guess, before the guy could even operate.
Yeah.
So, which was awfully nice. But he said, and then he told me a whole bunch of stuff that I just blew my mind. I mean, and some of it very personal. And I'm like, really? But he was a cat person, just like what you've got a
Mhm.
picture of.
Yeah.
And, if you haven't seen our picture in MeWe, she's got a picture in MeWe of a cat person. And he had all his fur, though, at the
Yeah.
version I saw had his fur. And he looked like my cat, except big. And he said, you know what? I always felt bad that I couldn't hug. You were always hugging me, and I couldn't really give you a proper hug. And he came over and he hugged me. He said, I can finally hug you now. And then he told me, he said, I was a guy before this. And that's exactly how he put it. He said, I was a guy before this. And I said, a guy? And he said, yeah. But you know what? I saw how women treated their cats and how much they loved them and petted them and fawned over them and took care of them, and I wanted to feel that love. And you
Hmm.
did that. You did that for me. That you were perfect. I wanted to tell you you were perfect. When you would wake up and I would be staring at you, I loved to watch you sleep. You were so beautiful when you slept. And he would put his paw on my cheek a certain way, like this, and just cup my cheek in his paw and put his claws out just slightly so that he could hold my cheek. And he'd look in my eyes. He did that when he was alive. So so it was like he said, he said, it was, you were the best. Don't worry about it. You were just everything I wanted. This was everything I wanted. So I don't want you to worry about me. And then he told me a whole bunch of other stuff too. So it was wild. Now I'm going to let
Yeah.
you talk because you're the guest.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
But,
Um,
that really was an eye opener for me because that happened before Maui died. Then when Maui died, that was another mind blown,
yeah.
thing. And I'm like, okay, things are obviously a lot different on the other side than we think. And our pets absolutely go somewhere. They don't just they don't just poop.
No. Mm-mm.
So absolutely they go on. But then again, we've got to ask ourselves, is it much like the concept? I don't know. Are you familiar with the NPC concept?
No, what is that?
Non-player character, and Duke could probably explain what an NPC is because we had those back in the Dungeons and Dragons days.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Non-player characters, which were run by the DM, and later on they are run by the game. The game runs the NPCs, and the
Hmm.
NPCs are only there to further the game and to give you some information, point you down a certain way, etc., etc. They're not they're not really ensouled. They're not actually. So basically, Dolores Cannon talked about this, background people, and they talked about this all the way back I mean, this has been talked about for a long time in metaphysical
Hmm.
literature, that some people are just part of the background. They're not really,
Yeah.
like you and I being played by a soul. They're not in soul. And
Yeah.
I wonder now if animals are the same way. If some of them are ensouled and some of them are not. Some of them are just part of the background, and the ones that are with us, certainly seem to be player characters, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, it almost seems to me like people who say they have a familiar, those animals are definitely ensouled. Definitely got a spirit that goes on. And
Yeah.
people, yeah, the so I don't know. Maybe there are some animals out there that are not, but I know that every single one of mine certainly went somewhere because people have
Yeah.
argued with this. But okay,
Yeah.
so
I've
tell
seen
us
mine after
you.
they pass, so
Tell us some of yours.
um
I Mine. You got to show me yours now. No, trying to be silly to get over this
yeah,
feeling.
mine have always just mine spoke with me, and then when they passed, they would communicate after they passed. Like I said, different people that have lost their pets, I've communicated with their pets for them, and they've seen them running through their house as well. I had a collie and she had gotten out and she never went any. All of a sudden, she just disappeared. She was with the Bigfoot, is what she was. And somebody found her 10 miles away. Now, this is a dog that had arthritis, never left the yard, never left my side, other than to go out to go to the bathroom. And they found her 10 miles away where she had to cross a creek. She hated water with passion.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they saw what looked to them to be another dog brought her there. And then after they took her they found her at a, uh, not a shooting range, but it was a hunting club. And this other dog walked her all the way to their porch and then left. like he was getting her where she needed to go. And when she was gone, of course, I was frantic, absolutely hysterical. This was my baby. And, the kids, my grandkids were staying with me at the time. They're like, oh, Grandma, she's outside in the yard because I had a fenced in yard. And I turned around in the kitchen and she was standing there like in a hologram form, literally a hologram form. And I looked at her and I said, hi, Hope. And she looked at me and she just had this pleading look in her eyes. And she's like, come find me, you know? And yeah, it was really bizarre. That's how I knew, she wasn't nearby. She wasn't anywhere. We got her back, but yeah, and I've seen her since she passed.
Great to see you, Les. If you gotta go, I understand, but Robin's probably uh um Robin's gonna be back.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
tonight got kind of messed up, so we'll do a
I
redo.
just didn't work right at all. We'll have her back on pretty soon, okay? So but
Bye,
honestly,
Beth.
I'm wondering now, I would have to think then Sasquatch is in soul. They would
Oh
have
yeah,
to
they
be,
go
but
into spirit form all the time. They can go from flesh and blood to spirit form in a blink of an eye.
so they're really better at this than
Oh
I or
yeah,
you.
they're so far ahead of us, it's not even funny.
Okay, this is my theory. I don't know if I put it forth before or not, but our branch of the family, and they are our family, I'm pretty convinced of that. And my chat is not moving, so if somebody could type something, that'd be just great to let me know this thing is still working.
I can look. While you're talking, I will look. I'm not ignoring you.
Okay, that's fine. My theory is we, our branch of the family, our technology has outstripped our spirituality.
Yeah.
Is our
Mm.
technology, we've gone really far technologically, but we have not gone commensurately far enough in our spirituality to be able to wield the technology wisely.
Yeah.
Whereas Sasquatch has gone exactly the opposite way. They've been developing their spirituality, and their technology is still very primitive. So they have been putting more emphasis on the spiritual gifts than we have.
Yeah,
And
we are really lacking.
huh?
I said we're really lacking. We're
Yeah,
slackers at this point.
yeah. They've been, because I know they've got technology, they understand how to build things. There, there are some things they do seem to know how to use of ours, but they're not really interested
They don't
in
use things the way
having.
we do, from
Yeah,
what I can see. And they are great at playing with technology. There is nobody that can mess with electronics the way they can. It is a God-given talent.
so basically that's like an inbuilt thing, a built-in, hardwired in thing, is they can mess with technology.
Yeah.
You know, right there, that tells me, because we should be able to do that too then at some point.
Well,
Um,
we a lot of our technology, not that we haven't created some of our own because we have, but a lot of the major things we got from the ETs. I mean, we did. I
I
mean, you
This
can
is
go
not our
back,
technology.
no, it's not. And you can go back and even look at Eisenhower. He signed a treaty with them. They could take some of our people in exchange for technology. And there was a treaty before that as well. That's public knowledge. It's on the internet.
There's a point when we crossed over from tubes to transistors.
Well, I
That,
mean, I think it's irresponsible to think we can go from living in a cave and hitting each other with rocks to where we are now.
well,
I'm not
what I
saying that we haven't developed things because we have. What we were given, we've developed on those. But I mean, the basis and the core of everything, it wasn't from us.
well, here's a conspiracy theory for you. I think that this technology was given to us. I think as soon as you saw the transistors come in, I think that technology is actually alien technology given to us.
Oh, of
And what
course.
we've done with it since has not been beneficial to us. If you look at it, in the one respect it is, but in another respect, it certainly is not in harmony with the earth or with life on earth.
No.
It kills everything. It
Yeah,
makes
and the
things.
earth will fight back. The earth is a living, breathing being, and it will fight back. It always does.
So our technology is probably, I think, was given to us by somebody else, some from somewhere else, and possibly, okay, I'm just going to blurt this out. You can tell me what you think. I think they've been terraforming this place. Somebody's been terraforming this place and getting it ready for occupation, making it into something that they can stand. And I said this like way back in when I was in college, and people thought I was crazy, but I said, it's almost like somebody is changing our technology and our atmosphere and everything so that it's beneficial to us. And I mean, beneficial to them and weakens us because
Well,
this
I
stuff
think
is all
our
weakening us.
atmosphere has been screwed up from our government. We've done this to ourselves. We didn't need the ETs to do it. We did it to ourselves. We've ruined the ozone layers. We've ruined the planet. We've done all these things, and it's all
I
based out of
agree.
it's based out of greed. The powers that be wanted gratification right then and now of what they wanted from whether it was money in the pockets, technology, or whatever, without any consideration of the long-term effects. And I think that yes, you have bad ETs that may have ulterior motives, but there are also a lot of good ones. And I know for a fact some of the ones have tried to help.
I didn't say that it was necessarily ETs that did this.
Oh, I believe that. I no, I didn't mean that.
I
I'm just
think,
saying,
no, what I'm saying is somebody did, but was it
yeah.
really ETs? Because we already know that there are some beings that have been living here a long time.
Oh yeah, I
Maybe
agree.
date us.
Oh, I
What
agree with you completely.
what if they're the ones that are doing it, that are tricking us into doing it to ourselves?
I don't
You
know.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It could be that they're tricking us into doing this to ourselves because they know people are greedy. They know
yeah.
people will
I
fall
mean,
for it.
we are our own worst enemy. We really are.
I don't know. I think it would make a difference between we and some greedy people. I think there are psychopaths at work here.
Yeah. Well, and I think
People with
that,
no conscience.
yeah, yeah,
With
they have ulterior motives and we're all expendable to them.
right. Hey, Max Vision remote viewing class, and hey, Gene Hudson is here. Um,
Hey, Jean.
yeah, I really feel like it could be people that beings because I mean
Hi,
I
Max.
I haven't really gone into it, but some of these things that say they dwell under the earth, they were out here in our backwoods and they were after me.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
remember the guy who had that happen to him. I can't remember the story I saw, but Duke, he said, you got to see this before you go out there.
hmm
And they're like, what? And I saw the story and I'm like, is that why I feel this trepidation going out there?
Well, yeah,
Because
that's they project the emotions on you.
on the one hand, I knew I was I was pretty sure I was mind speaking Sasquatch. But on the other hand, and I wanted to go out and get to know them, but my mind was going back and forth. How good of a thing is this? I mean, they're
Hmm.
kind of safe the way they are now, and I don't know what it would do if our cultures bumped into each other, and maybe they
Well,
got a good reason for being secretive, and all this stuff was going through my mind. But even
yeah.
more than that was all of a sudden, and I love outdoors, and I was waiting to go outdoors, but all of a sudden, I was getting it in my mind that it was dangerous out there.
Yeah, they do that projection of emotion, and it is a form of mind speak. They project emotion onto you. They call it the wall of fear. And they do that because either their children are out there, they're hunting, they're doing a ritual, or there's whoever's out there don't want to be interacting with you. And they do that as a safe hazer so that you're not getting hurt, they're not getting hurt. But when they project that emotion on you, you back off. And
Mm-hmm.
that way, no harm comes to anybody. You're scared a little bit, but that way, nobody gets hurt. And, it's just a way that they can protect themselves. And they have good reason to be afraid of us. I mean, quite honestly, our people kill what they don't understand. I mean,
Exactly.
you
That's
know,
exactly what I was saying to them. And I was saying, what worries me, because at first we were just talking about, it's like we were mind speaking, and I was getting a similar message. We're trying to build a bridge, we're trying to build relationship up
Mhm.
to where we can speak. And that was a year ago, over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I'm there, true, but I'm not sure how to do this so that you don't suffer or we don't suffer or both of us suffer, because I certainly don't want you to become uh, a victim of, I mean, as soon as people find out this is real, they're gonna it's like every other thing they find. They're gonna latch onto
Yeah.
you and love you to death and try and find you and have pictures taken with Sasquatch. And and I'm
It
like,
doesn't work.
ah,
That just doesn't work. I get people that get hold of me all the time. They're like, well, if I came to your house, can I see one? Okay, to begin with, they're a human hybrid. They're a type of people. They're an ancient people. I don't have control over them any more than they have control over me. These
yeah.
are guys in cities.
I think they were
Yeah, Max,
warning
I
me.
can imagine.
It seemed to me that they were trying to keep me from going out there, because when I really looked out there after seeing what happened to the guy, and I don't know what to call them. They're like, some people call them like scavengers, some people call them like hunters, but they're
Hmm.
lizard people. They're a lizardy looking thing.
Yeah, I have a picture of a lizard
And they're
man.
not one of the good ones. They're not one of the good ones. I know that there are different types of lizards. People have said that, and I'm aware. These weren't good ones. They were hunters. They were hunting me.
Mhm.
And they said and I'm like, holy crap. When I took a look at that, I'm like, is that what's going on? Oh my God. Well, in that case, they were trying to keep me from going out there to have to confront them. But fortunately, me and my friend can work remotely, and we handled them remotely. We got rid of them remotely.
Yeah, I do the
So
remote work. I do the remote viewing. I work remotely. I can do it up close. I can do it far away, whatever I need to do.
it was a extremely, extremely scary remote work that we did, and very detailed, because it wasn't just those creatures. They were attached to other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of, I mean, we saw roots, we saw things like cords and roots and wires and stuff attached to all kinds of other things. And I mean, we really had to fight like hell because there were so many of them. And they
Yeah.
said, well, there are many of us. And if you kill one of us, we'll kill 1,000 of you, or something like that. And I'm like, Oh, heck no. And I shut down all communication, even with the
Yeah.
Sasquatch. Got very upset, shut down all communication. I didn't want them in my head.
Mm.
And then me and my friend had to go after them, and we went after them. But if we hadn't been fighting them together, I'm not sure that either one of us separately would have been able to win because there were so many of them.
Yeah.
Many. And I mean, we were calling everything. We were calling angels, and I was in my light body. I was throwing my rods of light. I was throwing my it blinds them. It startles them so that we can see them, and it hurts them. They don't like the light.
Well, the energy in the light, if you have a pure energy in the white light, it's like if they were to be sopping wet and go up and grab hold of a hot wire fence, it kills them. I've killed stuff
Right.
that way before. And it does. It literally, I tell everybody it turns them into crispy critters because it just doesn't work. Now, you can take that same energy and light and use it on something that's good and it has no effect. If it's
Right.
actually got a pure heart and it's well intended, it will not hurt them. It's just like the protection bubbles. You do these energy bubbles, whether it's on a place or a person or what have you.
Linda
And
Bennett has
anything,
come in. Hey, Linda. Yeah,
what?
I agree. Linda Bennett has come in, and I'm glad to see Linda, one of my good mods,
Oh,
one of
okay.
my sweet
Hey,
mods. Hey,
Linda.
Linda. So yeah, I agree, Robin. It's like if you do this to something, if it's a creature of light, it won't hurt it. It will
Right.
actually, some of them actually even like it. If it is a dark thing, it will have a really hard time with it.
It
And
kills it. I mean, they don't recover from it. It's not, they're miserable. It kills it. I've had to do that on and off in my life. And I know other people that do it as well. I mean, and you don't take it lightly. There's a responsibility when you're going to do something like that. And it's not just because you don't like something doesn't mean that you do that. I mean, believe it or not, there's rules to all this stuff. Karma's a bugger and she comes after you if you don't play right.
I'm really, I'm close to Mother Earth. She's shown up to me pretty often. And she's even intervened, which she doesn't do that much. For individuals, she usually doesn't do a whole lot of intervening, but in my case, she did one time because it was just way overbalanced. I was
Yeah.
just way numbered, and she didn't like it. She didn't like it. But the person who helped me with this, and actually, it was attached to some kind of a cult. We saw guys in robes in a circle. We saw cords that went to all kinds of other things. A machine. We saw it went to some kind of a machine. It just went all over the place. It's like there's cords, these things out here are attached to all kinds of other things. What
Yeah.
the heck are we looking at? We never seen anything like it in our lives. And she'd never seen anything like it either, my friend.
Jean- Okay. I was checking. I thought Jean had a question, but she didn't. She had messaged somebody. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'll see. I'm seeing if anybody's got a question. But yeah, it's really weird how far this went, and we were having to rip up the cords to everything in order to get rid of that one thing. And I mean,
Mhm.
it seemed like there was at least 1,000 of these lizardy things. It's like, how can you even do that? And then they fight together, they combine all of their power as one, and they just kind of like, and that's why they're so strong, because individually they're weaklings, really, comparatively, but
Well,
somehow
other
they've
than
managed
us,
to.
everything works as a collective. We're the
Yeah,
only thing that's not bright enough to work as a collective.
yeah, that's us. We are not bright enough to do that
Oh,
yet,
no,
but
not at all.
when even two of us, but you know what? Two of us beat them, and I'm sure they didn't like that. I had to stay indoors for a while just to make sure. I felt like I had to stay indoors for a while and not be out alone for a while.
Yeah.
And until I was sure that everything was taken care of. But my friend who helped, she was not willing to let go of it. She had to look deeper and deeper and deeper into it and got herself gang stalked because of it.
Yeah.
And she's now in a hospital in Alaska all alone. And I can't do a thing about it. So she got herself, oh, she so much happened to that kid. But she lost pretty much everything. She just would not leave it alone. She would not let it be done with that encounter. She was trying to do, unfortunately, she's one of these people that cannot leave anything alone. She has to keep going. Kind of an ADD sort of thing, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, she got herself in so much trouble, all kinds of trouble. And I'm so sorry to hear what happened to her. Uh, you've got to be careful with all this stuff. I mean, and it has nothing to do with, well, I guess it does have to do with, it has to do with what's in your heart, but it also has to do with, there's certain things you got to do to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And, and if, and you can be put in a vulnerable place. And I found this particularly happens to women a lot. When something like that's going on, a lot of times I knew another one that, the one of them that disappeared. It's another one of my friends that just poof disappeared, was having problems like that. And she, I still don't know where she is. I feel
It's
like
sad.
she's still alive, but I don't know where she is, and I don't know what she's doing now. I hope she's safe. She feels like she's still alive. Hasn't come to see me in her other, in her, not, in her spirit. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking she's alive.
Yeah.
But she's, she had to leave everything too. She had to leave her home and her family and everything and just
Oh,
hook up. So
that's
you and I
sad.
are lucky. We still have a home. Both of the people that I'm talking about became homeless.
Yeah. They definitely try.
Yeah, I know. I know. Me too. They tried. Well, I've talked about it before on the show how we had somehow somehow they managed to torch my lawn chair out on my stoop without anybody seeing it.
Oh, wow.
How do you do that?
Yeah, that's
Some
odd.
It was a line, it was just burned a line straight across, like, and I found a mark on my floor that looked burned, looked like something, it was a black mark on my tile, on my linoleum, that looked like something just came through and burned my tile.
Oh,
A black
wow.
mark in my tile, and I'm like, what the heck? And it has to be something I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know, I'm thinking it's got to be something happened here that I don't remember because everything was happening in that place.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had where, well, yes, I'm sure you have. I don't even have to ask. You've probably had even weirder shit happen to you, right? Am I correct?
No, well, I mean, my life has been just bizarre. That's just the way it works. It doesn't, I mean, I don't know any different. So it's like it doesn't shake me up as much as it should.
Yeah, I'm thinking of trying to do that. It seems like, and Linda Bennett says, was it where I live now? No, it was at the old place. I got lots of trouble at the old
Mhm.
place. But so you've had a bizarre life too, and it's been mostly since you got involved with Sasquatch, or was it before that, Robin?
Um, it started all at the same time. I was a toddler. So
Okay.
I've never at any time known any different. It's
Me
just always
either.
weird.
Yeah, it's been since I was a kid. I've had weird stuff happen the whole time through. It just seems like that's the way it is with some of us. You're such
I
a,
mean,
I mean,
it would never change it. Like I feel really blessed. I mean, there's been a lot of bad stuff, but there's been more good. And I have been blessed with the to have been able to see another part of this world that most people don't. And more and more people obviously now are seeing it. I get contacted daily by people that are like, I just saw this and now I feel like I have some connection and why and what's going on. And I just like I said, it's a blessing. I wouldn't change it for anything, even with the bad stuff.
well, you know what? I think it's part of our training. We've been trained, obviously, since we were very young for exactly what we're doing right now. So I can't really feel bad about it. And although some of it is very unfortunate, sad circumstances for some of the things that happened in my life were not very pleasant at all. A lot of things that happened were not pleasant because this made problems between me and my husband. So I lost everything too. I lost my husband. I lost my home through
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. However, I can send rain to Texas, and
Yeah.
do all kinds of other and throw rods of light. And, I mean, there was an episode of Dharma and Greg and
I
where
love that show.
I loved the show too. I related so much. And she helps an old Indian die.
I
And
watched that one.
yeah, and did you see
It's
where
on
he comes
Hulu if
back
anybody
and
that
talks?
wants to see it.
Yeah, anybody wants to go back and see that show, go see it. It was really it
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
had some good points. And so at one point, she's talking to this old Indian and she realized she's talking to a spirit after he died. She's
Yeah.
realizing her whole childhood was a lie, that her favorite toy was actually just a shoe, that her parents raised her pretty much like a gorilla would raise their kid,
Yeah.
you know, that her childhood was nothing like a normal kid and she didn't even know what normal was. She had no idea.
Yeah.
And she saw her parents, which were now grandparents, treating the kid like the grandkid a whole different way than what she was raised. And she's
Yeah.
like, my whole childhood was a lie. And then you know what? The the old Indian says, but you know what? Maybe girls who had real toys can't talk to dead Indians.
Oh, that's cool.
If you think of what we can do, what we've learned to do because we had to learn,
Yeah.
you know that every new ability, every supposedly superhuman skill I've had, meow. What do you have something to say about it? Do you have some thoughts? Do you want an interview? You want to be on the show one day? I should interview him one day. But
That'd be funny. Get the cat on
yeah,
there.
everybody put the cat. So, okay, one day. But he he's a different cat too. He's different, let me tell you. He's even different than the other ones I've had. But it's like everything that's supposedly kind of a superhuman thing, which is really superhuman. We're all supposed to be able to do it. It's been because I had to do it. It's almost always all of them have come up because for some
But
reason I had
I
to.
am a firm believer that we all have these abilities. I don't think that anybody doesn't. I think that we are at different levels, as not as far as the abilities go, but as far as being able to express them and use them and tap into them. But I think
Yeah,
that we've always had abilities. I don't think anybody has ever not had them. But when you look at the Bigfoots, if the parents don't teach them that they have the abilities, they don't know that they have them and they don't know to use them because they don't even know they exist. other than the telepathy. So my own belief, for whatever it's worth, is I think everybody has always had these abilities, but it's one of those things, if you don't know you have them, you don't use them. And we've been taught and programmed our whole life that none of these things exist. And so now you have an entire world that is programmed to believe they can't do these things. And if you watch the people that are using abilities, they're using them because they've come to that realization within themselves. I really am doing this. This is real. And then it's a progression. Once one ability starts, the next one starts, and it goes on and it goes on and goes on. So, people will ask me, like, I have a ton of things that I can do. I'm no slouch at it, but regardless, I'll do various things in different situations that need to be done. And people come up at me and say, oh my God, you have all these crazy abilities. And I'm like, you probably do too. When you're ready, they're going to come out. They really and truly are. I don't, I'm one of these people that I think we're all on the same playing field. Some of us have more experiences. Some of us have had things happen that brought it out quicker than others, but we all started out the same.
Yep. I think maybe, they had real toys and then they couldn't talk to dead Indians. I don't know.
That was such a good show, though. I loved Armin Greg. I've watched
It
it I
was
don't know how many times.
just, hey, Circle K. Circle K made it in. Hi there, honey.
Oh, I
Hey,
Circle K.
but yeah, I agree. I agree totally that this is what we're supposed to be able to do. And obviously, we're related to Sasquatch. We probably could do everything they do at some point. If we,
Well, I do believe in the Bible, and I do believe in God, and I do believe that God created Adam and Eve in the garden, and I believe all of that 100%. But through the course of time, there's been a lot of hybridization and genetic manipulations, whether it's ETs,
well,
government, whatever.
that, and it didn't say that Adam and Eve were the only man and woman. In fact, Cain ended up marrying after he killed his brother, he ended up getting thrown out and he went to the city of Ur and married a woman from the city of Ur. And it says that very clearly in the Bible. So if Adam and Eve were the only ones, what was the city of Ur? How could there be a city? Obviously, there was others here.
Yeah.
So obviously, people try to act like Adam and Eve were the only creation, and I
Yeah,
don't think
no, not hardly.
not what it
Not
says.
hardly. God created the heavens and the earth, and that it means everything in the heavens and the earth and all of
Even the
us and
stars
everything in
don't lie.
between.
And I have another saying too. It's like you know why you can't get back to God? Because you can't get away from God. You really can't get away from God.
That's cute. I like
Sorry.
that. I like that.
No, somebody says you need to get back to God. It's like, honey, you can't get away from God.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you kidding me? People who are in error are in error. Okay. People who are living a, a life of selfishness, they're living in error. And actually, in some versions of the Bible, they call it error
Well, you
instead
know
of
what?
sin.
Karma comes knocking. There's no way to avoid it. Karma's there. It's going to happen. And I get where I just don't worry about it. I don't, um, I don't worry about it because karma's got it taken care of. Jean, what do you think brings gifts out faster? I think it's opening yourself to the possibilities that these things are really there. And you can't just say, okay, today I'm going to believe it. You have to feel it in your soul that these things are possible. And you have to break down the walls of that box that we've been taught to believe is exactly what reality is, because it's an illusion. The box is an illusion. It never existed. We need to blow that sucker right out of the water because there was no box to begin with. That's
Yeah.
what we were taught. Just like when a child goes to school and they're taught reading, arithmetics, all of those things, they're taught them. We were taught these things don't exist. That doesn't mean they didn't. And so, in answer to Jean's questions, what I would say would be, as you open yourself up to the possibility thereof, You have faith in the fact that it's there, and you can't demand that it's going to happen immediately. It's a progression. And as it starts, it gradually gets more and more and more. And what's happened, like in my lifetime, is every time I think, oh wow, this is cool, I've got, like, this huge bag of tricks now, that's all I'm ever going to learn, then you know here we go again. And
No,
I more things open up, and it's a progression. It never stops. It continues all the time.
yeah, I really believe, if I may chip in, Jean, I would really say that unfortunately the MK Ultra findings are true. A lot of times your gifts are opened up through stress. A lot of times it happens because it has to happen, or you're going to die, or somebody else you love is going to get hurt, or you need to help
Well,
somebody,
yeah,
or
I think you don't realize you have them, and then they
yeah,
tend to come out as need be.
right.
So, but you can also bring them forward just by opening your mind, opening your heart, looking at the possibilities that they're there. And then once you do those things, you become more aware of what's going on. And most people are already having these things and they don't realize it.
I don't even know. I didn't know.
Yeah, Jean.
You
And you, by
didn't
the
know
way, have a
mine.
ton of abilities, Jean Hudson. I've talked to her. I know her. Jean has a lot of abilities, and they're starting to come out more and more.
Yeah, my crew's getting them too. Everybody's getting them. Some of them are getting different kinds of the clairs, what we call the clairs, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairaliens, clairaudio, whatever,
Yeah.
all kinds of things like that, and just clairsentience, whatever. Um, and they're getting different kinds of abilities to do different things, to affect different things, talk to elementals, um,
Mm.
all of that kind of stuff. And really, elementals are just part of they are part of the structure of this place.
Yeah.
And they have their own kind of consciousness that's very different from ours. So when you're dealing with elementals, you are kind of dealing with another intelligence that is not like us.
Yeah.
So if you are practicing speaking to the elementals and the Sasquatch and whatever, and animals and whatever, you are preparing yourself, just as we
Yeah.
have been told, preparing yourself for contact with ETs
Yeah.
and people who
Well,
offer this.
in two, like in Jean's case, I've talked to her multiple times. She is just a wonderful, wonderful person. I have the utmost respect for her, and I think she's a sweetheart. She has got some great stuff going on, and she has got more abilities than I think she even realizes. And the Sasquatch adore her. They really do. And as time is going by, just even from, when I first met her months ago to even now, it's like her energy and her light, when you talk with her, it's expanded. And as that
Yeah,
expands, the abilities are going to expand as well. She's really
yeah.
remarkable. She's a really good person.
Well, Jean, we got to have you on sometime too.
Yeah, you should. She's really good. And she's got, like I said, she really is a knower. I guess is the best way to put it. She's fantastic.
I would love to have you on sometime, Jean. As a matter of fact, you can give Jean my number. Let her call
Okay.
me if she wishes.
Yeah.
Circle K said, I woke up listening to Terrence McKenna. He was saying the person that we talk to when we're on psychedelics is ourselves. And then then my higher self is pretty scary, man. Well, huh. Oh, and Gina's saying, no, thank you, no. She doesn't want to come on.
Yeah. Jean's a very private person. And like the rest of us that have ongoing contact with the Sasquatch, we get very, very highly protective. And we do that for a reason. The outside world is not kind. And, for years, And Jeff Meldrum got so angry at me and told me that, exactly, Gene, I agree with you 100%.
I agree.
And he got mad at me and he said that I must be a hoaxer because if I really legitimately had them on my property, I would have invited them to my property. Now, I don't mean any disrespect to him or anybody else, but I am so highly protective of these people. It's unreal. It's unreal. There is no way I can be called everything for the rest of my life. There is no way I'm bringing somebody that I don't trust with them near them. I won't do it. I have fought to protect them my entire life. I will go to my grave doing that. And he was like, well, if it was real, you would have me over there. And I'm like, no, I won't. Number one, they don't like you. Number two, this isn't about you. It's about them. There was only at that time, there was only a few people that I allowed there. Igor Borsteff was there, Bob Daigle was there, Joe Stewart was there, and there was a couple more people. John Castle was invited, a few more people that I let there. And what, I even limited friends and family as far as who was allowed there. The ones that were always saw them or saw footprints or some type of structure or something that they knew where it came from. But I didn't allow a lot of people there. And I really feel like Jean is, she's this very warm, loving person. And the Sasquatch love her for that. And she's protective, and she should be protective because our people kill what they don't understand. That's all they do.
I know. That's what was on my
And
mind.
yep, and the Sasquatch, all they want to do, they don't want to have to be up in our faces. They don't want us up in theirs. They want to just share this planet. That's all they're trying to do. And we can't let them do it. We didn't let the Native Americans do it. That's still, as far as I'm concerned, one of the biggest catastrophes that's ever happened, what
I
was done to those people.
I refuse to be part of this we who did all this. I refuse to be part of that because I
No,
am
I'm
part
not
Native
talking about
American.
you personally. I'm talking about
I
our
know
humans.
what you mean, but I'm like, I have
Yeah.
stopped saying, I've tried to stop saying we, and I have
Yeah, but
started
I
to
meant,
say,
the
there are
people.
people who, yes,
Right. And I
there are
agree. I
people,
agree. Yeah. I mean,
because
you
I am
didn't do
not
it, but I
part of
mean,
that.
yeah, no, and nor would I ever have part of it. But you know what I'm saying, as far as the people at
Right.
hand that were involved in that. And it's the same thing when it comes to these cryptids. You go to these areas, it's all this conflict, and there are some that are in areas that are just bad. They're hideous, they're awful, they're lethal. But they all
Like
band together
other
and they
people.
yeah, and they go to areas so that they're left alone. But yet we keep going to those areas because there's people, not myself or you, but there's people that don't care if it's a bad encounter as long as they get that encounter. And then they go there, people get hurt or killed, and then all of a sudden everybody's out there hunting these cryptids. Well, how about leave them alone to begin with? There
You
are
know,
some that are relatively friendly that will interact with you, and that's fine. But I mean, if you're sitting at home in your living room and a bunch of strangers show up and start camping out in your living room, you're going to be a little upset,
that's
but
exactly
but
what
I completely
came to me
understand where
too.
Gene's coming from. I stayed silent for most of my life. And I did go to Russia. I did the conference there that Igor asked me to, and I did two small conferences in Michigan, and then I went silent. And prior to that, I never made a peep to anybody. Nobody knew I existed, and I've been around them since I was a toddler. And all this paranormal stuff was going on. I'd been abducted, by the ETs, and I'd seen all the cryptids, and I'd done all these things. I stayed quiet for their protection, not mine. Igor wanted me to go and speak in Siberia. I did that. And then I came back home and I was quiet again. And then 4 years ago, the Sasquatch are the ones that asked me to go out and start campaigning and saying what they are. They're not monsters, what their goal was, and all these things. And that's when I ended up out in the public eye. And when they're done and they don't want it done anymore, I'm gone. And I'll go back to nobody will hear from me again. But, we do the things that we do. Myself, you, people like Gene, Duke, Christy Sci-Fi. A lot of these people, Bigfoot Michigan Rob is another one, a lot. And I know I'm missing a whole lot of people, you guys. I'm not ignoring anybody or forgetting you. There's just a long list of people that are really in it for the right reasons. All we want is to be able to make it possible for these people, and by people, I mean the Sasquatch, to be able to live their lives, raise their children, not be
Uh,
harassed, not be gunned down because they exist.
exactly. I wanted to see people quit hunting them.
I
They're
know
not
it's
animals.
terrible. They're not any more than we are. We behave more like an animal, but
Some
I'd
people,
rather be out in the woods with the
some people
Sasquatch
do.
than I would
Once
our people.
again, I'm not part of the we, and neither are you of that
Right.
we. It's not we.
When I say
I'm sorry.
we, I'm talking about the groups of
I
our
know.
humans that do these things.
There are humans. Well, Sasquatch and humans. Yeah, I can believe we're related.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot about them that's a lot like us. The best of us and the worst of us,
Yep.
probably,
Exactly.
are
Yep.
represented in them just like they're represented in us. I can
Yeah.
believe that because they're
Yeah.
people.
They are. The DNA
Um,
proves it.
so honestly, that's one of the
You know,
things
yeah.
I worry for them. I worry for their
I
children.
did too. I do too. I had just recently went to Michigan, not only to see my family, but to see a friend that we were going to go out in the woods. And, he's actively a researcher, and his name is Chad. He's really wonderful. I love him. And he had asked me to be part of a documentary that him and his friend Ernie had brought a producer in. And so we did that. And, I was only supposed to have this like 2-minute little blip, and they interviewed me quite a bit, and I was very fortunate because they came up to me afterward and said, listen, we're going to do a separate thing besides the film so you can talk and talk about these guys and tell people what they are. And so that just got released on Amazon. So that was really nice. It was very unexpected. I didn't really know they were going to do that. Like the day before I left, they said that they were going to put it like on the after part of the movie. And then I didn't know they were going to do it separately, like my own little thing, until they announced it on Facebook. But it was nice to be able to get that information out. What did Jean say? I'm so sorry I missed it.
Um, there.
Exactly. That was my point, Jean. You invade their home and then you get upset. Okay, and what did Linda say? I'm sorry, it was so fast I missed it. Yeah, I mean, when you see these UFOs, it changes your world. It really does. It's not just a matter of seeing something in the sky. In fact, it's on World Bigfoot Radio. I have a UFO video there, and then the actual screen captures of it as well that were verified by MUFON. My first abduction, I remember I was 4, and I've been abducted. My last abduction was in May of this year. Sighting.
My
Yeah,
whole
that's
life.
amazing,
You know
Linda.
what? I saw just last night, actually early this morning. I woke up and my room was totally filled with blue light. And you know what that means? Something was going on.
Yeah,
Do I know what's going on? I don't know. But a lot of time that blue light means something was going on.
yeah, yeah.
Although what I hear is that is often associated with something like time travel.
Well, and that's possible. I mean, when
What
they
was
took
I
me,
doing? I don't know.
yeah, when they took me in May, I had a white light shine through my window, and I mean, my husband and I were
That
wide awake for
too.
it. But then I have that picture, and I think I showed it to you of the beam from the UFO that was beaming. The light came down on my bedroom, Linda, and like you said, you saw your Bigfoot sighting in 1979. There's so much correlation with the UFOs as far as seeing the Bigfoot as well. And
Yep.
it seems to be that if you've seen one or the other in your lifetime, eventually it all filters in. It really does.
The rest of it happens too. The spirits,
Again, it's
the,
back to it's a progression. It really is a progression.
you know what? And it's just like those things that we saw, we had to get rid of, whatever they really are. I don't know what their real name is, but whatever they were, they had a connection with all kinds of things.
Yeah.
They were saw the cords that were connecting them with a whole bunch of other stuff. So I can tell you right now, I can also see that the Sasquatch thing and the UFO thing and all of the other things, all of the other weird stuff that happens to us.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, I hear a lot of woo, and I've been hearing woo for like years. Okay,
Yeah.
people come to me with their woo. Okay, that's always been the case, even before I really knew what I was doing exactly. But it's all connected. And if you've got
Yeah. I
one thing
had
going on, you've got another
one of
going
the,
on, know it or not. You may not
yeah, one of
remember.
the ones I'm really close with. He was out in the field. I had gone to visit a friend in Texas, and we were sitting outside at night, and he's out in the field throwing this orb up in the air like it was a ball, just coming up, and he'd catch it and go back up again. Once they tell us all the blue lights. You know what, Circle K, I haven't heard that, but it doesn't surprise me. I think he
Surprise
knew
me.
he was so way ahead of his time. I think he knew a lot more than what anybody ever dreamt.
Yeah, I used to see spirits and
Yeah.
not know that other people couldn't.
Well, and again, Linda, all this stuff is connected. And it's a matter of when one of these things, like you saw the spirits, when you were about 3, that right there was the beginning of the opening of your mind. And once your mind is open, everything else tries to connect, everything else tries to come in. And I think, and this is only my opinion, when your mind is open, you look at the world differently than per se other people do. So you see more things. Now, like she just said, her spirit she saw when she was 3, she saw Bigfoot when she was 79. And most people that would have saw that Bigfoot probably would have discounted it and thought, oh, well, I saw something that wasn't right, and just blew it off like it never happened. But because she had already had that connection where she had the connection with the spirits and her mind was open, her mind was able to process what she was seeing. So it
Right.
makes a big difference.
That I'm reminded, and Paul brought up the story about when Christopher Columbus's boats first came over, the native people couldn't even see them on the horizon. They could see the
Yeah.
smaller boats because that was like a canoe, so they just
Yeah.
kind of looked. They couldn't see the big ship. Their mind
Yeah.
couldn't process it. Only the shaman could see the ship. Probably because the shaman's mind was open enough to process that.
And that is really what it boils down to. When your mind is open and it's legitimately open, it's not just, all right, today I'm going to say it's going to be open. But when you really are open, where you believe it with your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, it makes a big difference. Yeah,
Yep.
Circle K, yeah,
Elvis
Elvis,
was-
there has always been rumors that Elvis was very much into ETs. Absolutely.
I've seen Elvis, by the way. Elvis has showed up in my meditations, by the way. He hasn't said a whole lot, but he just shows up from time to time. And so this did not surprise me when I heard that he was into this stuff. It's like, of
He
course,
was
that's
into a lot more stuff than what people think. Um, And I think he was a lot deeper and more in depth than he was ever given credit for, because everybody saw him as a sex symbol, this singer, this actor, and that's what they focused on. But I personally, and I don't know a whole lot about him, but from what I do know, he was a whole lot deeper than what anybody ever thought. And he was, like I said, a much deeper thinker than what people thought. But I've heard that before too. I actually believe that. I really do, Circle K.
well, they do tend to pigeonhole people of a
Hmm.
certain, especially musical. Janis Joplin was a lot deeper than they get. They just made her out like this wild, drug-addled girl, right?
Yeah, it's
Some kind
just,
of
and it's the
wild,
persona they
crazy.
create for the music industry.
And she really was very intelligent. I mean, I looked into her life. I did a paper on her life. She was very intelligent. She was very into stuff. She was ahead of her time in many ways because she had that open mind thing. And I haven't found too many stories to support anything like ET or Sasquatch.
Yeah.
However, I would not be surprised if that also happened to her, but was left out of her biographies because people just didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if she was having the same kind of things happen because she had a
Yep.
very rough life too. And even though she became very famous, I'll tell you another one. David Bowie, you would not believe how, and he didn't even realize what he could do.
Yeah.
I I knew him. I
I
talked to
think they
him
get
online.
locked into this persona that they put forth for the media and for the music industry, and it locks them into it. And there's really a lot more to him than that. And I think Elvis was a perfect example of that. I think he
I
was
think,
highly intelligent. I think he was a much deeper thinker than he was ever given credit for. And I think that there was a lot of connections with him with the government. And I'm not saying in a bad way, but I absolutely 100% believe what Jimmy Church had on the show about it.
yeah, Jimmy Church's show. I
I
saw that
agree,
too.
Gene. Gene
I
said
agree.
money of yeah, they can't handle the concept of it, so it just blocks it.
Yeah.
It's again,
Well,
Linda,
you
it's a
know what?
progression. You
Yeah.
start out one way, and as you go through life, it's a progression. Sometimes it goes really quickly, most of the times it goes slow, but it is a progression.
Yeah, because I can see when I look back on my life that yeah, she's right. It is progression. And the more like I said, one of the things that probably led into that was my parents took me to see a faith healer. We went to that church. We went to Catherine Kuhlman's church every Sunday, and she was a faith healer. I saw my dad heal my dog of paralysis. I
Oh, that's
saw a lot of,
amazing.
huh?
I said, that's amazing.
Yeah. I had a mini wiener dog, and he didn't even like the dog at first, but he kind of grew used to him. And he knew that I liked the dog. And when the dog got hurt and hurt his back, because it's very easy for them to hurt their back, he became
Yeah, their own
paralyzed.
body.
And he saw what it was doing to me and my mom. And he actually, I saw my dad set him on his back and work his legs and say, okay, little guy, you're going to walk again. And I saw that dog get his ability to walk back. So yes, my mind is was wide open.
Yeah.
My dad had a stack of basically what today, well, stuff like Fate magazine,
Hmm.
which was a
Well, I
paranormal.
think if we, even as children, our kids need to know that the possibilities are endless. There's a great big world out there, and we're all in it together, like it or not. But there are things out there that defy logic. Not everything is going to fit in the box. I had somebody that had made a comment today about, well, you say a lot of things, but you have no way to prove it. Number one, I have a countless amount of photos. I have videos. I mean, I've had hair samples taken. As far as the information I know, I learned it from the Bigfoots. And I appreciate everybody's thoughts and the right to have their own opinion, whether they believe me or not. However, that doesn't change what I've learned and what I've experienced. And so that's all right that that person may or may not believe what I have to say. I'm not offended. I'm not hurt, but it doesn't affect me in any way. But the bottom line is this world has endless possibilities. There are things in this world that defy logic because of us being told our whole lives they don't exist. But yet there's enough proof that there are. Now, there is a scientific study out there that proved it, and they still don't care. And they're still not listening. You know, thousands and thousands and thousands of people have seen them. They're still trying to say they don't exist. So, I just don't get worked up when people say, well, how do you know you don't have any way to prove it? Okay, then find a way to prove to me that I'm wrong.
Yeah,
You know,
frankly,
I'm not that person that is going to run around and try and, I'm a people person. I love people. I
try to
try to be
convince
kind
anybody.
every chance I get, but I was not put on this planet to prove anything to anybody. And
That's
the work I'm supposed to do while on this planet, I am doing. I'm helping people. I'm helping educate them
doing.
as to the
That's right.
best of my ability. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be. I try to be very humble about it. I think that whether I have a million experiences and one person just, saw a stick structure, they're just as valuable as I am. But in the same count, you know, you should question people. I completely think that's a good thing, but and you don't nobody has to believe me. I'm okay with that because when I go from this world, I know I was honest. I know that I never lied, I never made it up, I never hoaxed it. But these people come at me and they're like, okay, prove it. Well, I have photos. Nobody wants to listen to those. I have video. They don't believe those. They have the DNA that was tested. They don't believe those. So it's not my job to prove it. I would rather these people prove to me that I'm wrong.
Jean, I can't, for some reason, I
You,
had trouble putting her comment up, but I agree with her.
I agree with
Hi,
Gene
Jason
100%.
Whitmire.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a serial killer, they would. We have more evidence to prove the existence not only of them, but of their paranormal abilities. Ron Moorhead talked about how it has a lot to do with quantum physics. He's a highly educated man, one of the dearest people that God ever put on this earth. And and I know Ron. He is an absolute sweet, sincere man. What you see is what you get. He doesn't put on airs. He's the same way no matter how often you see him. He's a wonderful human being and he's completely honest. And I think that he's onto something with this quantum physics, but there are things that we need to accept that go beyond that range of science. We don't know everything, and that's the biggest problem that our type humans have is they think that we have to know everything. We don't. Nobody knows it all.
I don't even know if anybody can know it all.
No, I don't believe we can.
And if we
Was able to
came close,
remind her, but I
we'd
think it's like
probably
it's
create more.
possible. Yeah, it's possible, Circle K. I mean, I think we all have strange experiences throughout our lifetime, and a lot of times we block it because it's out of the norm. It's not something that is either talked about or something that's acknowledged or something that's believed. And so we put it in the back of our brain and we block it out. But there's times that it's going to come out.
Actually, from what I have heard from looking into the subject, I have been mind blanked many times, and
Yeah.
have done it to myself on some occasions, only because I didn't have anybody to tell, and talking about it would get me into trouble.
Yeah.
And if you have something that you just don't know what to do with it, you're going to stuff it somewhere. You're going to store that, but you're going to
Gotta go
forget it
somewhere.
because
But if you have an experience that nobody is going to believe because it's out of the norm, it's not common, it's not something that you've been taught that actually happens, you do block it because you try to tell yourself that it didn't happen so that you fit into that little box that everybody has.
yeah. And we've been pretty much encouraged to fit in that box
Yeah, and
and
and I'm a
discouraged.
bad person because I'm never going in the box. I don't believe in the box. I bust that sucker down every chance I get. I'm just not. I can't. And I'm one of these people that I respect everybody's right for their own beliefs and what works for them and what they can handle. That doesn't upset me. But at the same time, I am also I stand by my convictions. I stand by the truth that I know, and I don't back down from that.
I really believe
Yeah, you're right,
that.
Linda. They
I
do.
really believe that that's why we need the freedom of thought, the freedom of expression, because
Well,
we need
you know,
to be able to experience these experiences in our lives and be able to say it somewhere.
yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
trying to do,
We
is give people a forum that can say it.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid and I'm watching all this stuff, now my mom always talked to spirits and saw ghosts and everything. So that part, she knew about that and that was fine because I was doing it too. But um at the same time, when I would go to her and my dad and say, I just saw this. And I mean, I was 3 and 4 years old. So, I saw this thing floating in the sky, which was a ship, or I saw this little bean, or I saw this thing and it's covered in hair. And the thing of it was, at 4 years of age, why did I know what an ET was? And why did I know what a Bigfoot was? And why did I know what a dogman was? If I wasn't talking to them and they weren't telling me what they were, and I wasn't experiencing them. Why did I know what a stick structure was? At that point in time, Patterson Gimlin had just come out. I mean, it was a year after that. There were no books out, there was no TV shows, there was nothing. And my parents were wonderful people. They were excessively kind. They never said I made it up. They just said, honey, we want to help you, but we don't know anything about that. Which was, they were being honest, but they weren't hurtful. They weren't cruel. They didn't tell me not to believe what I believed. But I knew in my soul because I saw them. I talked to them. And that went on for years like that. And I never deviated from that. And people would say, oh, that doesn't exist or whatever. And I just like, okay, because I knew that was the truth. Okay, Circle K has something. It says they can distort your memory. But if you have the same memory over and over and over again, then you have to seriously kind of look within yourself and decide, this, to me, a dual memory is an indication that this is legit. This is something that happened. But they do distort what you remember and even block what you remember. And they try to do it in a way, depending on the individual. If they're trying to keep you like away from an area their children are in or whatever, they may distort it to make it seem more frightening for you, or they will downplay the encounter so it's easier for you to digest, and a lot of times they will black out your memory of it just to make it easier for you to comprehend it. So, and then you'll notice too, as time goes by, you get that bleed effect where a little bit comes out and a little bit comes out and a little bit comes out. And I've had that happen with past lives I've had.
I've had that happen with a lot of things. And I've also heard that there's like a shelf life of that blanking. Within 10 to 15 years, I think it was, stuff starts to leak out again.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it doesn't forever.
Yeah.
So then people start, but I tell you, Sasquatch themselves showed me my memories, reminded me of when I had been around them. I had no idea that's who it
Yeah.
was. Sasquatch was just not on my mind. It was just, I had too much on my plate. I
Yeah.
didn't have to think about Sasquatch. I just saw the wood structures. I heard the strange cry from in front of me one time. I had strange things happen. I didn't have time to think about Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I, and but they feel very. I got such a feeling that they have actually protected me from time to time.
Oh yeah. And one of the laws they have is they're not supposed to interfere with our human lives, but occasionally they do. It depends on the clan, it depends on the individual.
Yeah, I suppose that actually they have uh, done some intervening things when it would have meant some serious
Yeah.
harm to me, like
Yeah.
these things out in the woods, just giving me a fear response because of these things out in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably not outside of their scope to do that. That makes perfect
Oh
sense
no,
to
they
me.
do it all the time. Yeah,
Coming out and
that's a
getting,
common thing. Yeah.
yeah, that was to keep me from getting hurt. I totally am grateful for that. For that,
Yeah.
totally grateful. They made me
Yep.
afraid to go out. And here's another thing to remember: that almost everything can mind speak, but we don't know we can. And by
Right. Yeah.
we,
Everything
once
you
again, that's not maybe you and me, Robin, but that's a lot of people don't know that.
right. that rocks will mind speak, a tree will mind speak, a flower will mind speak. Everything that's a living, breathing organism will. They're really anything will. You can talk to the earth will speak to you.
Hey, Bomber, how you doing? Bomber made her way in.
Yay!
Hi, Bomber. And yeah, I think that's happened ever since I was very young. I had that idea. And when I went to school and they started trying to feed me science, and we had to start pithing frogs and doing terrible stuff like that,
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I
I think
refuse.
that's absolutely destructive and hurtful to a child to
Oh,
make
it
them
was.
have to.
I
That's not
totally
their.
flipped out. Yep. Never
If
did it.
that's not the field that you're going into, you shouldn't have to do that.
No, if that's something that for your career choice and your path that you have to do, I can understand. I still to this day remember that smell from like the formaldehyde and everything from the frog. I never did it. I didn't need it for what I was going to do, and I had no intention of doing it. I never did it.
It's just I don't know, that really scarred me for a long time to think
Yeah,
of what happened to that frog.
yeah.
And um
I had
I
frogs
some
and cats, so I was like, I there's no way I was cutting them up.
you know at, and when I remember when I saw their structures, I didn't know it was Sasquatch, but I knew it was something,
Yeah.
and that I shouldn't mess with it because it wasn't
Oh,
mine,
excuse me. Oh,
and that I was in somebody's living room. I
yeah.
even said, "Am I in somebody's living room?" And then I heard, and I'm like, "Oh, I am in somebody," and because I had been getting the pebbles tossed, but then at a certain point, it was a little bit bigger rock, just like you said.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, that's different now. That means something. That must have
Yeah, that's
been like,
changed.
we're getting a little too close now,
Yep.
you know. And I'm like, uh-huh, I'm in somebody's living room. Okay, sorry about it. Sorry about that. I'll just
Yeah.
go back this
And you
way.
just have to look at it that if somebody walked into your living room, you wouldn't be happy either.
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand. And they told me that that's one of the reasons they trust me is because they know I won't do that to them.
Yeah.
I will not do that to you. I will not come and try and disrupt your peace. I will not come looking for you just out of, ridiculous
Right.
curiosity,
Right.
disturbing your peace and your family and your home and all of that. I'm not going to
Mhm.
do that.
Right.
Okay. And you're not going to do that. And that's why they trust you too. They
Yeah.
know.
I go in, they ask me into certain areas so that I can clear the land and push positive energy into it and clean it and do all kinds of stuff.
Let's see. A tree saved my life by speaking to me and telling me a huge branch was going to come down soon. It meant get out of the way now and not like next week, but
I
in
think
30
that's
seconds.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Trees
I
are
mean,
very warm and loving. Like I had a very dear friend of mine take me up
trees
to
are
a certain,
great.
yeah, and say, hug this tree. And I said, what? She said, no, hug the tree. I hugged that tree and it was so energizing and there was so much love and I loved it. It was fantastic. But I've always
Mm.
been this person that have to have a ton of trees around. I can't stand being in an area or even a city without trees. I just can't. It's like I feel like I can't breathe.
Me too. I would not be able, I cannot stand cities.
Yeah, I'm not good
I
at cities.
cities. I don't understand this one, Jason. Does anybody understand this one?
I don't, sorry.
Matthew 14 sounds like a biblical reference.
It
Not
is, but
familiar.
I don't know which one it is.
Where it landed was in the shallow end of the river, where normally there would be a bunch of little kids. I
I
see.
think
Well,
that's incredible. What a beautiful story.
that's a wonderful story. You heard the voice from behind and above. Yeah. Yep. And some people would say, oh, that was my guardian angel. Maybe it was. Or maybe it was the tree.
Yeah.
How do we know? How can we be sure? I've been talking
Exactly.
to trees and things all my life. I talk to the bees every time I walk out the back way here. We have these big flower bushes that bees just love. And every time I go out there, I say, hey, ladies, how you doing? And
Yeah.
usually one of them will come out and fly around me in a spiral and then go back to work,
Yeah.
like they're saying hi. The bees were my little friends when I had a garden. They were my sweet little friends, my little buddies. I talked to them all the time, and they loved me, and I love them too.
Yeah. I
They're,
think it's just a matter of accepting everything that's here.
yeah, you are a part, once again, I'm going to say it again. We're not separate. We're not separate from this planet. We're
No.
part of the planet.
Yeah,
We're
it
part of the
really,
world.
yep.
We're part of, I would say, and YJ put it this way, and I think it's a good way to put it. We're actually part of the neural net of the planet because we can realize and we can dream, we can think of the future, we can think of the past, we can imagine things, we can build things, we can, we
Yep.
have all of this, and we can observe things. And so probably our job then is we're part of the brain function of the planet, and we're supposed to say, hey, little cloud beings, we need rain over here.
Yeah.
Because they're so busy playing, they don't want to, they just forget to
Yeah.
rain. You know, they don't mean any harm. I mean, a lot of these things that people are afraid of, and I have run into people who thought this was all demonic to be able to talk to this stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
they want to think, and by they, I mean, there is a group of people who has been trying to convince us that we are separate from everything
Yeah.
and want us to be all separate and think that everything is separate and that we are separate. And we just went through something that was designed to separate us, and there's even more things. All of these nasty tricks that are being played on us are extremely, I feel, to separate us so that
Oh,
we cannot get
absolutely.
together.
We're
Because if
stronger
we
as a
ever got
collective.
together and decided on something, all of this crap would be gone.
Yeah.
If we ever
We're
together,
stronger
we
as
would
a
be very
collective. Yeah.
what?
I said we're
Yeah,
stronger as a
yeah.
collective.
The
They don't
whole
want us to
earth.
be.
Hello, strange land. How are you doing, Todd?
Hey,
How are you doing? Strange land's another person that he keeps promising to come on and then he doesn't. Are you shy,
he's such
Todd?
a
Or
sweetheart. He really is so kind.
I know, I love Todd. He's great. I wish he would come on and talk to us a little bit, but I understand. Not everybody is an exhibitionist like me, huh? Not everybody. There's a lot of stuff I don't tell you because it's too damn personal. But I tell you what I feel is not too personal. Okay, but some things are pretty bloody personal, really. But I kind of understand it. It's you open yourself up to a lot when you do that. When you want to talk, but is it a
Yeah.
good idea? How's it going to affect
Oh,
your
trust
life?
me, I know.
Yeah, you got to think about that. Even having you on, I knew that it was going to, that stuff, I knew stuff was going to happen again, start happening.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it, but I feel like if this channel is going to do its job, I got to push through the fear of that or any misgivings because word needs to get out. We need to discuss these things. We
Yeah.
need to back everybody up. We need to back up all the experiencers because the experiencers usually get kicked to the curb
Oh, yeah.
because we're not scientific enough.
We're insignificant. We
It's not
can't prove
scientific
it.
enough.
Well,
You
but they
can't
don't believe in
prove
science
it.
either. They don't believe any of the science either. The genome study proved that. They don't care what it is. Unless it's going to fit in that box, it's not going to happen.
As a matter of fact, yeah, they will actually, and actually, Duke and I were mentioning this on SOR. You know, it's like how people will stretch, really reach, come up with an alternative explanation besides whatever you think happened, besides what obviously happened.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, if this was, once again, if this was a court of law, I've said that for years. If this was a court of law, somebody'd be convicted by now.
Oh
If it
yeah.
was a lottery, and then, yeah, somebody'd be convicted by now.
It's the
But
topic.
no,
Yeah, it's the topic.
yeah. So, you know, really, one of the things that I always wanted to do with this channel was have a forum where we all could speak. Me too. I wanted to finally tell my story too.
Yeah.
And I decided that that was one of the things I had to just grow the heck up, or maybe not exactly grow up, but take the responsibility, say, well, you want things to be different, you're going to have to do something different.
And I don't even know, like, I came out and I started talking because that's what the Sasquatch asked me to do. I can't even say that I make a difference. But at the end of the day, what matters is I tried. If I would have kept my
Yeah,
mouth shut and I said nothing and I watched them get slaughtered and they were trying to come forward and they asked for help and I turned them down, and I work with people all over the world, and if they want help, I am more than happy to help them. But and what if they were to ask me and I turn them down because I was too afraid to try? And I'm just not doing that. Regardless what anybody thinks about me, at the end of the day, I know that there are people out there that I've helped, and I know that I've helped the Sasquatch, and that's all I need. Bomber had
yeah.
something up, but I couldn't see what she had.
Um,
Can you pull it
Ontario
back up?
Cryptids
I don't
mentioned,
know.
I think it was Todd. I think they were talking about Todd.
Ontario cryptids
Yeah.
mentioned who?
Are you talking about Todd or Robin? Was it Todd or Robin? Todd,
Okay. I was
maybe.
revolting on how our brainers can reach it. I believe they can.
That's a great. CIA documents. There we go. Wait a minute. It hit my hand and fell in the bag. The only way it could have come was the sky the other direction. Is a 60-foot spruce tree in the way, but I got a happy feeling from it.
Oh
We're
wow.
missing something. Hey, James Ortiz, we're missing a story here. What's the story?
I've got about
I'm
20
behind.
minutes, guys, and then I got to get off of here because I got to get up early in the morning.
She's got about 20 more minutes, and I've only got 17 more uh, points of energy. Look, you guys, I love talking to you. And Todd, wish I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. We want to hear from you, Todd. Please consider coming on, like you had said. But if not, I understand. But so many of you, we need to hear your stories. I'd love to hear your stories. Okay, Robin, you know what? I've only got 16% left, so I've got to cut it anyway.
That's all
I
right.
really appreciate you coming and spending your time with us.
Oh, it's fun. I like
Thank
coming
you so
on.
much. I feel you're like a sister, honestly, in
Yeah,
this.
we get along great. I love coming on. We'll do it again.
I, I love this crew, and they love you, and
Oh, well, thank you. They're
uh,
always very kind. They're really
And
kind, and I've made so many good friends and met so many wonderful people that it's really a blessing.
it really is. And I'm glad that some new people came that don't come too often. And some of the older people that we haven't seen in a while came. I'm really happy about that. We're going to continue this. And we'll continue this, I don't know, maybe even next Wednesday if you're of a mind to.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, Wednesday
we'll
is
see.
the only day, like I said, Sundays and Mondays I can't, but the rest of the time I'm around.
Okay, so maybe even next Wednesday. And stay tuned for that. We'll just leave a couple Wednesdays open for Robin here and there. How's that?
Sounds
And
good.
sounds good. Okay. And I want to hear all about it. And the more information, the better. I
Yeah,
love
I mean,
you. You guys are great.
information is power. Information is power. And I think that we've all been quiet and powerless for a very, very long time.
I agree. I think one of the things that we've got to do is learn to do what the other side obviously is learn to do is we've got
Well,
to
and
get together.
yeah, and when I say power, I don't mean
We've
like
got to
our
be
government with the
unified.
power. I
Yeah.
mean, as far as controlling what we know. We have the
Yeah.
power to open our minds and acknowledge what's actually in the world we saw all our lives never existed. The real world is out there if we just open our minds to be able to see it and accept it.
I believe that totally. I totally believe that the information is there, and the more we share, the more it inspires other people to share too.
Yep.
And then the more we know, and then the stronger we are.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
agree.
we need to be strong. We need to get together. We need to be unified. We need to quit fighting among ourselves and quit all this bullshit and get together on things. And then we'd be able to do anything.
Oh,
I've been told
absolutely.
we could do anything. We could change anything. Do you know
Yep.
what? I've been told we could change anything to our
Yeah.
benefit if we'd only get together on it and learn how to work it that way.
Yep.
And I'm anything. The trees would be back. Everything would be right again. We can do that.
Yep.
It's given to us to be able to do that. That's because we're part of the divine.
Yeah.
You
Well, I thank
guys,
you
I
for letting
say
me.
you're divine and you create. And there's that bit of God in you. So you're part of that. You're part of it. And truth is where you find it. I hope you're finding some on my channel. I'm just about out of juice. I'm down to 8%. Love you
We will
all. I
see
must go.
everybody later. Bye.
Love you, Robin.
Love
Love
you.
you all
Love
in
you
the
too. Bye.
chat. You're great.